Okay, so there are a few axe throw tutorials already on the internet, but they're either super long or super convoluted or super long and convoluted. So I made a super fast, super quick 20-minute tutorial.
So go ahead and subscribe so you can get notifications whenever I upload more tutorials, and let's get started with this one.
Alright, so first we're going to open up the Unreal Engine project creator. And we're going to start a new project. We're going to click on Games and select Third Person Template. And we're going to name this whatever you want. I'm going to name this God of War Axe. Alright, so once we're in here, first thing we're going to deal with is the camera. See, the camera is almost completely detached from the character. You're not really immersed in it. The difference between this camera and the God of War camera is that the God of War camera is almost attached to the character and it's super close up, so everything that the character feels, you then feel. So go ahead and open up the third person character blueprint. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the camera boot and we're going to attach it to the mannequin and attach it specifically to the third spine, because that'll get like the most movement without being too distracting. So we're going to zero this up so it's attached to it perfectly. We're going to enable camera lag, so whenever you move, the camera will actually have to catch up a little bit. There's a little bit of a lag in between, and that makes you feel like you're going faster. So if we select the camera so we can put it over the shoulder, you can click on the person in the template and you can see a little demo right over there in the corner of where the camera's going to be. So we're going to move forward. Up and to the right. Alright, that's pretty good, so let's go ahead and test. See? Perfect. Alright, cool. So now that we have the camera out of the way, it's time to load in our assets. So we're going to create a new folder. Just name this anything you want. I'm going to probably call it Assets. And open that up. Now you're going to grab wherever the files are that you downloaded, starting with the axe, and we're going to drag them in. Alright, cool. So we don't want a skeletal mesh for this one. Just go ahead and import it. And we now want to set up the textures. So just go ahead and open both up. Alright, cool. Now that they're both open, we can go ahead and just plug in the appropriate textures. Alright, cool. So now that we're done, you can click on the axe, go back in your third-person character blueprint, click on Mesh, Add Component, and Add Static Mesh. So you just go ahead and select the bone, go to Hand R, just hand right, and now we're going to resize it. Alright, cool. Now that it's resized, we can go ahead and rotate it to fit in his hand. A way to make this easier is if you click on the mesh and type in pause animation, you can do just that. You can pause his animation so it won't be moving while you're trying to line up the axe. Alright, just unclick pause animation, compile, and we are good on that. So now it's time to import your animations, so grab wherever they are and select the Unreal Engine mannequin and import all. Alright, that's good. Okay, so we want to do a little bit of editing. In the animation, it includes him picking something up off the ground. We don't want that. We just want him throwing. So go until the animation is just about to throw and crop that. Then we want to create an anim montage. Once again, name this whatever you want. I'm going to name it axe throw. Alright, cool. So this says default slot right there, right? So to actually get the montage to work, we have to assign default slot. So we go to third person animation blueprint, go to anim graph. Here where it says state machine off of default, you want to type in default slot. So now it's actually possible to do this montage animation. Okay, so now that we're actually in the meat of it, we're going to head into the third-person character event graph and add a keyboard event, or any kind of event that you want. I'm going to use keyboard E, and when we press this, the end goal is that we're going to play the anim montage that goes with throwing the axe. So select axe throw, and before we do this, there are a few modifiers that we need to set up. So we need to have a few branches. The first one will be checking if we can jump. If we can still jump, we'll move on to the next branch. Move this out of the way. And for this branch, we need to create a variable. We'll call this in hand. And we'll add the branch real quick and check if it is in hand. We'll make a delay and set it to the exact duration of the anim montage, and we'll set in hand to true again. In between here, we're going to set it to false, so it can't set it off twice. So while the animation is occurring, let's change the default value to true. Move all of this back here, and we're going to disable character movement. Alright, and we are going to set the walk mode at the end, so we can move again when we're done. Or set movement mode to walk. Alright, compile. Come down here, and we're going to add another custom event. We'll call this the Great Disappearing Axe, because that's exactly what it'll be doing. So, we are going to get our axe and set the visibility to unchecked. That means that it's not visible. And let's head over to the axe throw, and we have to find the exact point when it would be released out of our hand. So right here, and the delay would be about 0.73, so we'll do just that. So type in delay, and set the delay to 0.73. Now after 0.73 seconds, it will be invisible. Alright, so right here we want to call our function. We're going to get rid of in hand. And now it's time to make the axe. So go ahead and make an actor. We'll call this axe projectile. So go ahead and add our static mesh here and resize it per usual. Alright, we're going to add two components. Number one will be projectile movement, and number two will be rotating movement. So projectile, we want to set initial speed to about 1,000, or we'll make it 15,000, and set max speed to 3,000. That means it'll increase a little bit once you throw it. The gravity scale, set it to 0.1, and rotating movement we'll set to 1,000 on the y-axis, and change the z rotation to 0. And now we're going to change location to 150, and there's a reason for this. So whenever you throw the axe and recall it, when it comes back to you, it doesn't come back in a straight line. There's a significant curve to it, like an arch. And most other tutorials that I've seen, they have some sort of complicated ray trace system to mimic this. Mine, however, is going to be rotating around a central point that's already predetermined by the default scene route. So it will rotate around this route to create kind of a fake arc, but it works well enough in a game. So because of that, we're going to have to change the pivot translation to 150 as well, so it rotates still locally. After set visibility, we're going to spawn the actor that we just created, so type in axe projectile. That should work fine. And we're going to actually get the follow camera here, because we are not going to be spawning it out of the hand. What we're going to be doing is actually spawning it out of the follow camera. So we're going to drag out our follow camera and type in get world transform. Split struct pin on both of them. And we only want location and rotation. And compile. Let's test this out. And we can throw our axe. Alright, so now let's go into the axe projectile, because we have to set up a stopping system so it doesn't go through the ground like that. So grab a sphere collision, attach it to the axe, and move it to where the head of the axe is. We're going to name the sphere axe head. Alright, now get rid of everything here and get an event tick. Off the event tick, we're going to run a line trace by channel. Grab the axe head, and we are going to get world location. Then we're going to duplicate it and split the struct pin, attach world location there. And on the X, we are going to add just 1 to it, because it's about the width of the X. Plug everything else in, and that part should be good. Alright, on out hit, we're going to break hit results, and run out a branch out of here. Attach blocking hit to the branch, and off of true, we're going to run a few things. We're going to stop the X. So do once because we don't want it to stop multiple times. It doesn't make sense. And we're going to get the projectile movement, and we're going to set it to stop movement immediately. Move this up and run it off of completed. We're going to grab a reference to rotating movement, and we're going to set rotation rate to 0 all across the board. Off projectile movement, we're going to set the gravity scale, and we're going to set it to 0. Alright, compile that. And let's set the draw debug type to for duration for now, so we can test. So, as you can see, it hit the wall and stopped. But now we want to be able to recall it. So let's go back to axe projectile. And we're going to create a custom event. Let's name this return. Off of return, we're going to do a do once, so you can only call it back once. Grab the default scene route, and this is where I talked about earlier about rotating. So after do once, we're going to connect that to move component 2. So in between, we're going to have to cast to third-person character. We're going to get world transform for the mesh. Split struct pin, add location and rotation, and we're going to do an ease in so it doesn't slam into your hand that hard, and over time about 0.4 seconds. Alright, so off of move component 2, we're going to destroy actor. The actor will be self, and if you compile, you see there's an error because we haven't actually referenced this to anything. So off of cast to third person character, we can just play get player character. Alright, so go back to third person character. And we're going to add a new custom event. We're going to call this the Great Reappearing Axe. Okay, off of here, we're going to do once. And off of the spawn actor, since we now cast to it, we are going to call our function that we just made, which was called return. Alright, get it off of there, come down, and run it off of completed here. And actually get rid of do once. We're going to just connect it to return here. Then off return, we're going to set in hand to true. Remember that variable from earlier. And we're going to grab visibility, and we're going to set our axe to visible once again. And we're we're going to call the function that we just created, reappearing axe, off of false here. So if it's not in our hand, it'll call back, and now we can actually test it out. So you throw it, and you press E again, it'll come back to your hand. Alright, cool. But we actually want to call the reappearing axe function not off of here, but out of our axe projectile. So go back here, and off of third person character, do the great reappearing axe. Come back to third person character, and we can get rid of this and put it up here over false. So we won't be calling that event anymore, we'll be calling return. Now it's time to edit our catching animation. So we want to create an animation montage. We'll call it Axe Catch. And we want to edit this real quick. So we want to change his arm so it looks like he's actually catching something. So just edit it until it feels right and press add key and apply. Now we're going to head back to the third person character, and off of set visibility we're going to play in a montage, and the one that we just created, Axe Catch. Drag this back a little bit. Stop character movement. And add a delay. That's to the time of the animontage. And now it works well. Look at that. Player animation coming off of it. Press E again, it'll come back to you. That should do it. So turn draw debug type back to none. And come back, and that's it.